You're shucking a little mush.
The Boys Season 4, Episode 4 just dropped, and man oh man, we got to see Homelander burn the human side of himself and become the highest being he can be. We even got to see Annie completely lose it this episode. This episode we tackled mental challenges and things from characters' pasts that held them back. So strap in as we digest and take a deep dive into the episode and also find out what the hell that ending meant. First off, I have to clap for my man Anthony Starr because this man deserves an Oscar for his performance. He solidly is a number 2 for the best actor who has ever played a villain. The way he portrayed the internal battles that Homelander, faces is amazing. Tell me this sadistic laugh isn't at the very least terrifying. So as I said before, this episode we saw Homelander visit the lab where he grew up. A lab where he felt caged and was abused and treated as if he was an animal. An experiment. So we saw him playing around with the scientists who raised him and killed them off one by one, or make them pay for what they did to him. Yeah, Squirt was for me one of the most grueling scenes because you knew someone was going to die. Just not when. Then Barbara came in and showed him the reality of his situation. But she slayed for real. She really showed this deranged psychopath that he could have left whenever, destroyed it all, burned it all to the ground. But he didn't, because he couldn't stand making anyone disappointed. His desire to be loved became his leash, and boy did they play with it. Because obviously you wouldn't just let the most powerful being on earth go around freely without any way of keeping them under control. So what happens when he finally loses his limiter? Quite honestly, I say him losing his limiter is part of his story, because in the comics eventually he does kill the president and become the president himself before his death. So now in this universe we have nothing can kill this guy. I mean, there might be a small chance that his internals aren't as tough since Maeve made his ear bleed last season, but the only way we're being shown right now is Ryan. Once Homelander is seen as too big of a threat as this season continues, then all we will have left is Ryan. Ryan is the only thing that can stop or at least go toe to toe with Homelander once he gets old enough. So far the entire season we've basically seen Butcher deteriorating, slowly losing himself and everything he loves. Even his team doesn't want it. We've also seen that freaky worm thing moving around. I guess the shot of Compound V really messed with him again. I'm guessing the worm takes over and can adapt his body in order to survive, so it's basically a superpowered parasite. However, this episode we did see it being used to save Huey's dad, and we'll probably give him some crazy superpowers. I can't wait to see what those could be. This episode again, we did see Butcher hiding the fact that he does have powers, and I'd say it really isn't hiding since he just found out, but I'm sure they'll come out again in the next episode when either he does fight Black Noir or some other scenario takes place. And I'm sure it's going to be an interesting matchup if he does go against Black Noir. This time we saw Annie completely lose it, just as Sister Sage had planned it. She slowly built up the ante, making all the information she gave out more and more secretive, and finally gave the final blow, the abortion records. Knowing that she came from a Christian background, they would leverage that, and they made her crumble completely. So she beat the hell out of Firecracker and destroyed her political career. Then we see her cry and sob because it all feels as if she's lost everything she had, including her mother. But something else I noticed during this episode is how she generally is one of the most human soups there is. The fact that she's constantly trying to outrun the name Starlight shows it, and I'm sure in the coming episodes we will see her either open up or close herself from the world. Frenchy this season had been in a small situation where he had to try to explain to Colin how he is the one who killed his family. He even had to hide his foot from him, and we saw him get beat up for it. So now this could be the showrunners setting up Kimiko and Frenchy possibly getting back together. I'd love to see that, since we've seen her stalk Frenchy and lie about encounters with other people. So we saw that there was a blue liquid in the IV on Huey's dad, and it has to be Compound V, because his heart rate spiked up out of the blue, no pun intended. And I don't think normal compounds they give would actually do that, considering the fact that he was literally about to be offed. They were about to turn off his life support, so that has to be Compound V. So we might see a superpowered dad in the universe. Knowing this show, he'll probably have the most insane, most crazy powers that you'll ever see.